Onde Onde Mtsan. This is Thongya, a podcast by the District 7 Legislative Office. Honde Onde Batsan. This is Thongya, our podcast for the District 7 citizens. We're here in Denver, Colorado to discuss some community activity going on with the Denver Indian Center. Our guest today is Mr. Rick Waters. I'm glad to see him today. Longtime resident since 1984, living here in the Denver area. Also one of the co-directors here at the Denver Indian Center. Just want to bring him on our podcast, talk about how the Indian Center supports its community members, our tribal citizens within the community and around the city of Denver area. So, Rick, pleasure to be with you today, and just want to kind of give you an opportunity to give us a quick introduction, who you are, where you were raised, kind of introduce yourself to our citizens.
Well, number one, I'm a Sooner born, a Sooner bred, so I was getting up close to football season.
Oh yeah.
Born in Oklahoma, grew up in Oklahoma. My mom was Kiowa, my dad was Cherokee.
Mhm.
Spent a lot of time out in Mountain View and that area, and also around Tahlequah and Vian and that area. But uh, moved here in 1984, and have worked primarily serving American Indian community. I mean, that's been my background, my professional
Yeah.
life as well. I was at the University of Colorado at Boulder, the American Indian College Fund, University of Phoenix, and currently here at the Denver Indian Center. This is my 10th year here. And all of it with the foundation of serving the community and primarily around the concept of how can education play a part in making sure our people go forward. And even though we're a social service agency here at the Denver Indian Center, we look at what will help prepare our people. And you got to start young. You got to be able to read and write if you want to be able to get involved in being a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, all of that. You got to be able to read. You got to be able to understand. And so it starts early, and that's that part of education, the foundation. And then from that, it grows into knowing who you are, being proud of who you are as an Indian and as a tribal member. And so what we try to do here at the Indian Center with our mission statement is self-determination, self-reliance. And just a little bit of a background on the Indian Center itself. It was founded here where we're at right now, the location, in 1983. But prior to that, for about 10 and 15 years, it was an organization that was called the Denver Native Americans United. And it was a group of community people that came together to help those natives that were a product of the Federal Indian Relocation Act, help them navigate living in an urban area, living in the cities. And Denver was one of the original cities. And of those thousands that stayed here, they were always, looking for avenues of getting better jobs, understanding the educational system, all those aspects of social determinants. And so the Denver Native Americans United came together, coalitions with schools, churches, civic organizations, to see what they could do to come alongside those natives that were wanting to make a go of it living here in Denver. And the Denver Indian Center per se grew out of that. And that's what we continue to do, is help come alongside those that are living here, to help them, simple term, is navigate living in an urban area, which is a little different than living in Oklahoma or the reservation areas. And so what I do pretty much is just kind of oversee staff that manage programs around our workforce development, our family program, which is honoring fatherhood, our youth programming, and our elder programming. But when you combine them all, it's really community service. So what can we do that'll kind of build that sense of pride, confidence, safety, security? People know that they can come to the Indian Center if they have a need, or if there's a program here that will help benefit, their daily lives. That's what we look to do. But as I was telling you earlier, just by our name alone, Denver Indian Center. We're the hub of
Hmm.
Indian activity here in Denver.
Hmm.
And so we're fortunate we do have a facility that we can accommodate gatherings, and also with the facility we have the classes and
Sure.
offer those type things. So
Well, it's really good to be with you here at the Denver Indian Center today. And part of, me as District 7, the legislator, is to get out to our different communities. It's my second time being here in Denver, and we're going to have a meet and greet tonight and kind of meet with our citizens that live in and around the area. But my personal background, I come from Dallas and Fort Worth, which I know your family has strong
right,
ties with that relocation, I guess, hub, as you call it, where people went to find work in the
right,
1950s. And a lot of our District 7 citizens, I think over half the tribe lives in this huge district. It's always hard for me to get out to everybody and communicate with them, right? But I'm glad to partner with you and learn about the services you're offering and workforce and social services, family, health. Um, you know, uh, but there's some good things going on that I hear, in the Denver area, just by the interactions that I've had with the city of Denver, some council people that I've met with recently. Last year, we had our tribal convening. We're going to have that again in September, but um, there's a new movement, I think, within the city of Denver focusing on being a crossroads, as you
mhm,
call it. This is the crossroads of Indian country. I think that's very appropriate. You labeled that. There's this movement to build a new embassy here. Would you mind elaborating a little bit about what that is and what you're hearing and how the tribe could maybe support in the future?
sure. I'll just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Crossroads of Indian Country. When I've said that or provided an introduction at different meetings, whether it's a national conference or whatever, I'll have people from Phoenix, Albuquerque, Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
What do you mean Crossroads of Indian?
Yeah.
I said, well, when you look at it, we were one of the original relocation cities,
Hmm.
but at one time, Colorado, this area was populated by tribes
Hmm.
before the removal. But more in contemporary times, National Congress of American Indians was founded here.
Hmm.
Uh, Native American Rights Fund is here in this area.
Hmm.
American Indian Higher Education Consortium,
Yeah.
American Indian College Fund
Hmm.
is here and was here. So you have these national major organizations that serve our community that are here. Plus, the airport's a hub.
Yeah.
If you're going to any Indian conference around the country, you often will fly through Denver. But uh, that being said, right now, and I tell this to my counterparts in Oklahoma, which was my home. Tell people I'm from Oklahoma, but I live here in Colorado. Uh, South Dakota, I'm going to be candid, name states: Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota,
Hmm.
uh, Texas. Uh, we are in a more friendly political climate here
Hmm.
in Colorado.
Hmm.
We've been able to work with our legislature,
Hmm.
and we've been able to pass bills that impact and serve our American Indian community at large here in Colorado. But closer to home, one concept or idea that's always been in the making and under discussion was the building of a American Indian cultural embassy,
Hmm.
kind of like an American Indian UN,
Hmm.
with an idea of bringing back those tribes that were formerly here.
Hmm.
And Kiowas were one of them.
Yeah.
And I make sure people understand that when I do land acknowledgments, I always make sure to include of those tribes that were formerly here in numbers were the Kiowa. But this cultural embassy we're looking at is part of a billion with a B bond package that will go to the voters in November. But of that package, a $20 million project to build an American Indian cultural embassy out by our international airport
Hmm.
is in the works.
Hmm.
So right now, between now and November, we'll be working to educate the community and let them know what this might involve, how it might impact our Native community, but just the community at large
Hmm.
in terms of even an educational center of informing people about the American Indian community, the original inhabitants, servants, and stewards of the land. But all that being said, right now, that was pushed forward by the city council, who the American Indian community has a very good relationship with and allyship with, and the current mayor, uh, as well as the governor.
Mhm.
So very fortunate to live and be able to do things that we're not only with our foot in the door, we're at the table
Mhm.
in a lot of the
It's
decisions.
great.
If you want a tribal consultation, the fact that you'll be coming here next month,
Mhm.
that's another effort to involve nation to nation, government to government relationships
Mhm.
on things that impact at least the American Indian Native American community.
Yeah, we don't. It seems like in Oklahoma, where our tribe currently resides, very few municipalities, want to work with us. And I think the McGirt decision had a lot to do with that, and especially with our adverse political climate in
We won't
Oklahoma.
talk
You're
about that.
fortunate, but we have Tulsa. The city of Tulsa has a really understanding mayor that was just elected within the last year, and is trying to reach out to tribes, and he wants Tulsa to kind of be that city that people are going to be able to partner with, in terms of like sharing, taking care of tribal citizens, because there's a lot of people that live in Tulsa where I reside and where we have our legislative office, but I think you're fortunate to kind of live in a state that has that really understanding political climate where we can bring people to the table. And me as a legislator, I'm lucky that I can kind of build this relationship, help the tribe build a relationship on the establishment of this embassy, but furthermore, just kind of figure out how we build that nation to nation relationship with the city and state of Denver. I'm very fortunate, here in Denver to be visiting with Rick Williams today, who is a really uh, prolific researcher. He reached out to me last year, and he was like, "You really need to we want the Kiowa tribe to be a stakeholder in the state of Colorado. Like, how can we support that?" And he has the Truth, Reconciliation, Education Trek. The
Mhm.
Trek survey that he did, they kind of established. I like the research he did. It kind of established our migration through Colorado, like we were talking about
Mhm.
earlier. Godibo,
Yeah.
the story of your wife's great grandfather, was born at the base of the mountains somewhere up here. We have a long history of moving through this area here. Um, I'm going to visit more with Rick today, later on this afternoon, with the people of the Sacred Land, the nonprofit he has established, to kind of see what we can do to partner with them, kind of establish more of a uh, support and service area for our tribal citizens. Maybe it might be something like the embassy, having a tribal office here where the Kiowa tribal government can come here a couple of times a year,
Sure.
establish a satellite office, have enrollment, have people come over, but we can also do cultural things. I don't know if I told you this yesterday. You can look at my social media.
Okay.
I went out to the area of
Oh
the
yeah.
embassy, and I got there, and I was waiting on the tribal council member,
Right.
Stacy Gilmore, and I got out of my car, and there's a big prairie dog village out there. And I got out there, and they all started barking
Yeah.
at me, and I thought they were welcoming me, or just barking at me. I don't know if they thought I was same day or whatnot, or uh, but then I kind of, I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't get to that moment. But they all, like 15 or 20 of them, started barking all at once, and I went and turned around in my car, and I got my phone out, and they stopped. But then I saw what they were barking at. There's a big bald eagle like flying like right behind
Mhm.
me, and that's what they were alerting about the whole village. But I thought, man, this is pretty cool. And she showed up, and I was kind of just taken back by what had just happened. But I kind of saw the area, where they want to build this embassy, and I think it's a great project because there's a lot of land
Mhm.
um, that kind of goes way back there. It's near the airport. We were talking about the
Right.
crossroads, but when we talk about land back, I think the city of Denver could be the example for that movement, giving land back, establishing space to where Native people can have ceremonies, have cultural things, but also like major like conferences. I forget what it was called, that large hotel that's just across the road.
Gaylord.
The
Yeah.
Gaylord. I mean, there's just an opportunity there for the city of Denver to kind of be the example. Um, So me, I want to my intent and my purpose in being here in Denver is to meet with our citizens this evening, but have these relationships, people of the sacred land, the city of Denver, hopefully go back to the Kiowa tribe in Oklahoma, make a presentation, and connect them with these people so we can continue to build that nation to nation relationship here in Denver to find out how we enhance our outreach to people here in the area. So, um, in terms of like needs and for people, citizens that live here in Denver, what do you think the major needs are for how the tribe can kind of reach out to them and support their needs?
Good question. And I was asking, what do we know would be the actual head count of
Uh-huh.
tribally enrolled Kiowas here? Now, you have probably Kiowas living here that are not enrolled,
Yeah.
but have significant uh, 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 blood, I guess, quantum, if you want to call
Hmm.
it that. But they're enrolled in other tribes, but yet they culturally may associate more with Kiowa. And I think to answer your question, um, I think our needs are not a whole lot different than those in Oklahoma around
Hmm.
Hobart or Carnegie or
Hmm.
Mount View and everywhere else. This day and age, we're still dealing with putting food on the table, roof over our heads, and educational opportunities and those things like that. So I think everything that would help assist our tribal members here, similar to those in Oklahoma, whether it be cultural classes, educational classes. We have a person here, Andy Kozed, that does a lot of uh, presentations
Hmm.
and working with the school districts around sharing his knowledge, particularly around Gourd Clan and the
Hmm.
Kiowa tribe, and understanding, how songs and dance and how that's not just a performance or entertainment. It's who we are as
Hmm.
people, the songs and all of that. So I think uh, without doing a scientific survey and breaking it all down,
Sure.
uh, I think just in general, a lot of those basic needs that people everywhere
Hmm.
are needing, especially this time.
Hmm.
Here at the center, we deal with a lot of our native community members coming in with extraordinary or emergency needs.
Hmm.
They just have no place to turn, and we may not be able to help them with a direct service support, but we have that connection to resources.
Hmm.
And if the tribe can be one of those resources for us,
Hmm.
whether it's burial, whether it's medical, educational,
Hmm.
even a you know emergency gas card to get back home for,
Sure.
uh, you know, they sound simple, but they cost money, it's time, energy, and resources. But it's those things that we often hear about, and uh, we deal with on a daily basis.
Sure.
And again, especially now, you mentioned it earlier, this social climate we're living in right now, it's just a little bit challenging for a lot of us.
Yeah. I think that's part of as the District 7 legislator, I want to see more outreach, how we connect those services, and not just Denver, but in Oklahoma City, Albuquerque, Tulsa, wherever our Kiowas are living, how do they access those services or really know about, what they're eligible for? Because uh, a lot of for many, many years, our tribe has lived off those 638 grants. And those grants have a service area component that says you got to live in one of the 10 counties of Southwest
Mhm.
Oklahoma, and that kind of restricts our District 7 citizens from that help. And I'm thankful that the executive administration is looking at ways to break down those barriers using tribal money. One program I'm pretty, I want people to know about is we have a rental assistance program.
Okay.
I think it's up to $1,500 for tribal members, and District 7 citizens are part of that conversation. Like they can apply for that.
Mm.
And so I'm glad housing has that program. It's new. It just started in July.
Okay.
But that's an example of one of the barriers that, Denver citizens can take advantage of if they get in a bind. I know social services, there's only $400 per household. I know that's probably a big complaint. That's a major complaint that people, because they have large extended families. Well, I have $400. I got 8 people living in one home. It's just me that can apply for those services.
Yeah.
So there's other access is increasing, but it's going to take time as we bring in revenue to the tribe. How are we going to, as the legislature with the power of the purse, how are we going to appropriate those funds through a tribal budget and make sure we continue to support that? Because I think the data shows that our District 7 citizens are often not the ones that are supported when it comes to burial, but we got to build those programs in. Um, and so we're looking at that as a legislature. So part of my purpose in being here too, Rick, is to do this meet and greet tonight with those citizens that are going to show up to kind of do a group to kind of get some feedback on what their needs might be. Are we meeting those needs? My legislative intern, Devin Wixon, came with me, and we're going to do a needs assessment tonight.
Great.
Talk about, what the tribe, what my focus has been for the last couple of years. And really, it's about establishing that communication. Our tribe, depends upon Facebook for communication for everything. We got to figure out ways. Not everybody's on Facebook. People are missing. And so part of why I brought on a legislative intern, he came with me, is how do we engage our citizens more in the need and education? Educating our citizens when it comes to this special election coming up,
Right.
when it comes to blood quantum, and how important it is to get out there and vote. And so I know you talked about education before when we were talking in your office. It's important, to have our citizens understand, even in the municipal elections and state elections here in Denver. Would you kind of talk a little bit about how you support that effort?
Well, yeah, we were talking about voting in an earlier conversation.
Uh,
You know, if you did not have that example through your parents or grandparents growing up,
Mm-hmm.
then you probably, it's not built, it's not inherent in
Mm-hmm.
what you would do normal. It's not like a habit for you. But for many of our community members, they're not, and for a variety of reasons, skepticism and just kind of the unfaithfulness of the towards the government. But with that said, knowing what a bond issue is, what a referendum, what a
Mm-hmm.
mill levy, all of those things that we talk about around an election, aside from people that we're trying to elect or people that are running for office. And so that educational part around civic engagement is what I'm partnered with a number of American Indian organizations from around the country. We're really
Mm-hmm.
trying to get people registered to vote. I know in Oklahoma it's called Rock the Vote, and they're
Yeah.
very involved. But we're doing things like that as well, just to encourage our people to at least get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Martian, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The issues that are going to impact you, your family, your community, that's what you really need to have an understanding of,
Mm-hmm.
and then how the process works to some degree. Um, and so that's the kind of what we're involved in right now in terms of getting people to understand, what is this bond issue?
Mm-hmm.
How will it impact ultimately? We're looking at, from selfish reasons, I'm looking at the economic opportunity
Mm-hmm.
generating from tourism and others and working with the city. How can we tap into that stream
Mm-hmm.
to serve our community members through the Denver Indian
Mm-hmm.
Center once it gets built? But
Well, thanks, Rick, for being on our podcast today. Any closing comments or anything you'd like to share with the people that might listen to our District 7 podcast? It's just one of our platforms we try to get out there
exactly.
because people are using different ways. See, people still use YouTube, Instagram. So we got to try to hit them all. So this is just one way we're trying to communicate.
No, I'm Kiowa, and I'm very proud of that fact. And I'm also Cherokee as well from Oklahoma. And so I'm thankful that you have come here and
Mm-hmm.
visit with us and introduced you and got set up meetings with city council people. Because I think down the road, taking advantage of that sovereign status that we have as a tribe, government to government relations, with
Absolutely.
whether it's city or state, that's what I want to build upon. And just really quickly, the reason uh, I keep emphasizing Kai was here. You hear the term land back, and the land didn't go anywhere. The land is still here. It was the people that were removed.
Mm.
So if people are familiar with Colorado as a homeland through the educational system, maybe more people will come to the University of Colorado, the University of Denver, Colorado State. And studies have shown once you go to college somewhere, you tend to set roots there. So that may be one way of bringing back our people to the
Absolutely.
land that
Absolutely.
we were removed. But again, very thankful. Family, my family is the Audubon and Soodle family
Mhm.
on the Kiowa side.
Yeah.
I'm married to Dina Harrigera, and she is Kiowa, and she's a Toibo.
Mhm.
So we got that Kiowa influence here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rick. And we appreciate everybody tuning in for this interview with Rick
Sure.
Waters from the Denver Indian Center. And we'll invite you back next month. I think we're gonna have Lauren Waters on our podcast to kind of talk about her new film.
Sure.
So just kind of giving a precursor. Hopefully, people want to tune in. She made a really great film on Dana Tiger, an artist from the Tulsa area, and they had a premiere at I guess a viewing at the Santa Fe Art Market. So we're going to try to, and she's your niece.
That's my niece, and Lindy Waters, the third sister.
Yeah. We're going to have her on in September and talk about a little bit about her work in the film industry.
Good.
So, well, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Deon Deaho for tuning in to this episode of Thongya, our District 7 podcast. The music was provided by Mr. Terry Zotai. For more information on our legislative work, please visit our website, kiowatribe.org/district-7. Thank you all for tuning in. Hegoim oi don't I.